Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Our today's topic is subphylum Cephalochordata. Phylum Chordata is divided into three subphyla. Subphylum Urochordata, which we have discussed in our previous video, and subphylum Cephalochordata. We are going to discuss this subphylum Cephalochordata in our today's video, and subphylum Vertebrata. We will discuss about the subphylum Vertebrata in our future videos. So today we are going to discuss subphylum Cephalochordata. The members of subphylum Cephalochordata are called lancelets. Lancelets clearly show all unique four characteristics of phylum Chordata. Four unique characteristics of phylum Chordata are hollow dorsal nerve cord, second one that is presence of notochord, and third one that is presence of gill slits or gill pouches, and fourth one that is presence of post anal tail. So all these four characteristics are demonstrated by the cephalochordates. Cephalochordates have two genera, one that is Brachiostroma amphioxus, that is the example of Brachiostroma, and second one that is Asymmetron, and near about 45 species of this subphylum are identified. These animals are distributed throughout the world's oceans in shallow water that have clean sandy substrate. These animals are tadpole-like, and they are small in size, up to 5 centimeters long. Their body is elongate, laterally flattened, and nearly transparent. Cephalochordates are weak swimmers. Mostly they bury their body partly or mostly in the sand substrate, and only anterior side which contain mouth, that is sticking outside the sand, and this anterior side because this have mouth, so this is used for filter feeding. Notochord of these animals that extend into the head region. So due to this characteristic, these are called cephalochordates, because notochord that is extend at anterior side into the head region. Notochord of these animals that also have muscular cells, and these muscular cells they contract and relax, and they able these animals to bore into the sandy substrate. So one characteristic that they have notochord in their head region, and second one they have muscular cells in their notochord. So due to these two characteristics, these animals are able to burrow into the sand which is present in the shallow water where they live. Muscular cells are also present on either side of the notochord, and these muscular cells they contract and relax. As a result of that, undulating movements are produced in their body, and these undulations help in swimming. So these are weak swimmers, but they swim within the shallow water. Longitudinal ventrolateral folds of the body wall help stabilizing cephalochordates during swimming, and median dorsal fin and caudal fin also aid in swimming. So they have ventrolateral folds of the body wall, and ventral fins, and caudal fin or tail fin. So all these help in these animal in swimming. At the anterior side, oral hood is surrounded by cirri, and these cirri are used for feeding. Mouth is present at the posterior wall of the oral hood, and this mouth opens into the pharynx. Numerous pharyngeal gill slits are present in the pharynx, and these gill slits are supported by the gill bars, and these gill slits open into a cavity which is called atrium, and this atrium cavity that is open outside through the atriopore, this cavity that prevent the gill slits and the pharynx from the abrasive injury of the water or sand when they burrow into the sand. Here this is the diagram of a lancelet. Here we can see oral hood, cirri, pharynx, gill slits in the pharynx, and gill slits, these are supported by the gill bars. On the dorsal side, in blue color we can see dorsal hollow nerve cord. Below the blue line, a red line is present which indicating notochord, and notochord, if we see notochord that extend into the head region, and dorsal fin is present on dorsal side. At the posterior side, we can see tail. At the base of tail on the ventral side, anus is present, then ventral fin is present, then the opening of atrium is present, which is called atriopore at the base of the ventral fin. Atrium, that is the cavity which surround the pharyngeal region and digestive system, and pharynx that opens into the stomach, and stomach that have a blind diverticula which is called midgut cecum, and this midgut cecum that produce digestive enzymes which help in the digestion. So this is about the cephalochordates, different parts of the cephalochordate. Now about the digestive system. Cephalochordates are filter feeder animals. They filter the organic molecules or planktons which are present in the water. Water enters through the mouth into the digestive system from the oral hood side, and cirri are present. Cirri that distinguish between the large particles and small particles. Large particles, these are thrown outside, and small particles, these are entered through the water into the mouth, and then from the mouth they entered into the pharynx. From the pharynx, the water that is removed outside through the gill slits into the atrial chamber, and from the atrial chamber, that water that is removed outside through the atriopore. The food particles which are present in the water, these are filtered from the water. Pharynx endostyle is present on the ventral side of the pharynx, and this endostyle that produce mucus secretion. That mucus secretion form a mucus pod, and this mucus pod are string that is thrown into the stomach, All the food particles which were filtered from the water, they enters into the mucus cord or mucus spring and reach into the stomach. Stomach have a blind uh, diverticulum which is called midgut cecum. This midgut cecum that produce digestive enzymes, and these digestive enzymes help to digest the food. Then undigested food that is expelled outside the body through the anal opening, and this anal opening is present at the base of the tail. So in cephalochordates, both types of digestion that is observed, intercellular digestion and intracellular digestion. Intercellular digestion that takes place in the cavity of the digestive system, and intracellular digestion that takes place within the cells of the body. In cephalochordates, true heart that is absent. Only the large blood vessels, they have an ability of contraction and relaxation, and these walls of the vessels, they contract and relax and pump the blood into the blood vessel. The blood of the chordate that is not confined into the blood vessels, and they flow into open spaces and directly bath the tissues. Blood of cephalochordates that contain amoeboid cells. Excretory system, excretory tubules are modified, and coelomic cells, these are attached, closely associated with the blood vessels, and this arrangement suggests active transport of materials between the blood and the excretory tubules. Coelom of cephalochordate that is reduced as compared to the other chordates, and it is restricted near the gills, endostyle and the gonads. Development and reproduction in cephalochordates. Cephalochordates are dioecious. Male and female animals are separate. The body wall that bulges into the atrium and form the gonads, and in gonads sperms and eggs are produced. So these are shed into the water which is present in the atrium, and with this water these are removed outside through the atriopore. Fertilization is external, and after fertilization zygote is formed, and then zygote that is developed into the free swimming larva, bilateral symmetrical larva, and this larva that swim for some time into the water and then bury itself into the substrate, settle down on the sand, and metamorphosis into the adult. Further phylogenetic considerations. Phylum Chordata that have some unique characteristics, and some characteristics of phylum Chordata these resemble with the phylum Hemichordata. Dorsal tubular nerve cord and pharyngeal slits. So these are the two characteristics which resemble with the phylum Hemichordata. And tadpole-like larva, presence of notochord and post-anal tail elongation. These are the characteristics which are only found in phylum Chordata, not in phylum Hemichordata. So these characteristics, they differ the phylum Chordata from phylum Hemichordata. Development of a tadpole-like larva, that is the main characteristic of this phylum. Some zoologists suggest that the process of pedomorphosis occur in the animals, and they give rise the motile free swimming chordates. Pedomorphosis is a process in which a immature developing larval stage that becomes sexually mature. So zoologists say that these free swimming larvae that give rise the fishes, or you can say fishes arise from the these free swimming larvae. Next one, that is the subphylum Vertebrata. Subphylum Vertebrata, that is the most successful group of phylum Chordata. These subphylum Vertebrata, in subphylum Vertebrata, or you can say vertebrates, the notochord that is partially or completely replaced by the bony structures are cartilaginous structures. So cephalochordates bones contain bone or cartilaginous vertebrae. Vertebrae are the small pieces or small bones which form the vertebral column. The development of the anterior end of nerve cord into the brain. So this is an important advancement in the members of this phylum, and the brain that is protected by the cranium, and the cranium that protect the brain, and the sensory organ they are also well developed in vertebrates. So due to these characteristics, subphylum Vertebrata are the members of vertebrate. They become most successful animals, most dominant animals on the earth. If we discuss the history of the vertebrates, ancient jawless fishes were common in the Ordovician period, near about 500 million years ago. Over a period of approximately 100 million years ago, fishes become the dominant vertebrates. So fishes were commonly found in Ordovician period near about 500 million years ago, and 100 million years ago the fishes they become the dominant vertebrates in the on the earth. Approximately 400 million years ago, terrestrial vertebrates were appeared on the earth. So this is about the further phylogenetic consideration of phylum Cephalochordata. Thanks for watching this video.